Okay, I'm seeing Kelly nod yes. I'll take that as a yes. All right, so before we get started, Jenny, if you want to go ahead and take roll call, and then we can go ahead and jump right in.
I sure can. Let's see, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Armstrong Romero. Commissioner Davala.
Here.
Commissioner Detman. Commissioner Gielan. Commissioner K. Williams. Commissioner Keast.
I'm here.
Commissioner Lebrecq.
I'm here.
Commissioner Murphy. Representative Lewis. Judge Partridge.
Good afternoon.
Commissioner Rogers.
I'm here.
Commissioner Royho.
What was that?
And
Oh,
Commissioner.
sorry, it was said a little weird. I didn't.
Sorry. Rojo, I'm sorry.
I'm here.
And Commissioner Tassine. All right, so just a handful of us today so far.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add that for the record, that Kyla Armstrong Romero has joined by phone.
Oh, yay.
Well, good afternoon, Kyla. I did not think you'd be joining us. Welcome. Okay.
No problem.
So before we get started on the agenda items, I want to take a couple minutes, and if there are any members of the public, now is time for public comment. And just a reminder, there'll be some time reserved at the end of this meeting too for any additional public comment. And we just ask that you keep any testimony to 2 minutes or less. So I'll go ahead and leave some time now for that. Okay, and I am not hearing anything. And I don't think we've submitted any written comments. So unless someone's jumping in, I think we can just go ahead and keep rolling here. All right, so the purpose of today's meeting, if you guys have looked over the agenda, is to really just review the anticipated report that we have coming out in September is when we turn it in, right? September. Yeah. We don't have any data or findings available right now, and it seems like the JJPC meeting on the 20th was canceled or moved. So I think we were hoping to have some updates from them, but I don't know if we're going to have any of that today. So with that, I will kick it over to Kelly to go ahead and get started on showing us that outline of the report and presenting that. And just a reminder, today is just to review that. And if anybody has any really strong opinions on what should be in there that's not in there, or if you feel like we are not adhering to our legislative mandate, all right, so only really strong discussion points are what we're looking for today, not trying to we're coming up to a deadline pretty fast, so I don't want to get too in the weeds today. But with that, Kelly, I'm kicking it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Pablo. Mark, I saw you come off when we mentioned JDIS. Is there anything you want to chime in on, or I can provide what limited updates?
I just mentioned we've met with CJC and identified some detention data that we think would be worthwhile. And so we've got two things processing. We're working on extracting the data behind the detention JJPC annual report, since that's already been cleaned. And then I'm also working on a request to our JJPC steering committee, because I don't have the authority to release that data. And so we have an email that's going out to the voting members of that committee, I think today, outlining the request and letting them know what variables are in there. It'll be de-identified, but it will have a JJPC number in there, so that if CJC wants to work with a particular county or better understand some cases, they'll have what they need.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. And so as Pablo mentioned, today we're just sharing the outline of the content of the report. So it's the scaffolding, the bones of what's going in there. As we've talked about, we don't have any data or findings as of right now. So this is just the general lay of the land. So we won't be talking about substantive information at this time. But as Mark mentioned, we are in the works with coordinating to receive that data and hoping that will be relatively smooth. So I'm going to share my screen with the outline, and this will also go out to everyone after this meeting. So here's the general outline of the contents. So I'll give you a second to look at this before I go through everything. And hopefully it's large enough for everyone. So what we're looking at here is we'll start with a background information about the House bill and how the Juvenile Justice Policy was formed and the purposes of the Policy Commission. And we'll go into who composes the commission, so the commission membership, and then go into the work, including how many public meetings have been held, the invited speakers and collaborators for the public meetings, as well as our technical assistants. So that would be Eliza Kaplan from Lewis and Clark, as well as Council of State Governments, which the biggest lift for them has been the Oregon inventory, which helped spur some discussion on where to move forward with the commission's work. And then after that, we'll go into the preliminary research that hopefully we'll have data on. And that'll include that first focus area. As we know, the commission is tasked with a lot of areas. I think there are 9 in the bill. And so we've outlined it to that first area. And within that, the research questions to kick it off within that first area. And then there'll be the research findings, as well as some hopeful recommendations, both general as well as specific. And then a conclusion to kind of wrap up what's going on, what's going to move forward with the commission, maybe things that weren't asked that we wish we could have asked or what we wanted data on, and then appendices, which will include everything that might be nitty gritty that doesn't need to go in the full report, like information from the inventory, certain things from the meeting, any extra data, tables, technical documentation, and that sort. And so the biggest thing I wanted to focus on today, unless anyone else has specific areas they want to look at, would be the commission's work. And so specifically the research, especially since we had that discussion in April, which unfortunately I wasn't here, but I was able to review the suggestions around those research questions, which you all had great input and feedback. And so right here, when we're talking about preliminary research, we would recap and revisit those 9 areas from the House bill to kind of set the background. It's a big lift for this commission, and the first focus area, which was identified on the screen here, which is the focus to be on post-disposition and community reentry with those 4 themes. And this is still a super broad topic, so the conversation naturally followed that within that topic, education was one area within reentry to look at. And then within that, the general theme of what, if any, disparities exist across groups, whether it's demographics, geography, what have you. And that disparity is an area of the House bill, and it's really interwoven in all 9 of those areas, whether you look at reentry or victim services. Those disparities will be kind of a backdrop for everything. And that's also where we'll include relevant research, as well as that information that Council of State Governments presented on. So then after we kind of tee up that first focused area, we'll have those research questions. And I wanted to show how we have edited them a bit, given that feedback in April, to both focus for that detention length of stay, to both focus on the county youth as well as OIA youth, and that 28 and 56 day distinction that everyone pointed out, which is super important. So we'll be asking those same questions, except it'll be with 28 days, 56 days, focusing on county youth in detention as well as OIA. And then for that topic area 2, which was the JDIP and YSEP, we broke it out by JDIP and YSEP. And the original April meeting, we had just put JDIP with the acknowledgement that we can also do it with YSEP. But then also there was some discussion around IEPs and 504 plans. There was a lot of discussions, especially from Lisa K. Williams, a lot of really important questions that may or may not be able to be answered this go around, but hopefully in the future. But one that seemed to be a strong possibility is those first two bullet points right here. So from 2023 to 2025, what percentage of students entering JDEP and YSEP had an IEP and or a 504 plan? So that's definitely something we can look into this report. The rest of them have remained the same. And then topic area 3 was transition services. There was some discussion about 28 days and 56 days here that I will need to touch base on commissioners about to kind of elucidate what that, a little bit more of what they were meaning by that. But most of the transition services and youth reentry readiness remain the same from that April meeting. And then topic area 5 was on Oregon legislation for educational requirements and coordination. And so one of the feedback points in the April meeting was to add administrative rules and county rules that are in place. So we've added those to the research question. And here also, we can rely on the expertise of some of our TA providers, specifically Eliza Kaplan and Lucen Clark. So she will have some time left to help us on some of these research questions, in addition to our support staff at CJC. And so in the report, we will outline all of these research questions. We will frame it within some recent literature, evidence-based practices. And then after that, we will go into the research findings, which will be preliminary. We won't be able to go as in-depth as we would like before September 1st, but with the coordination, hopefully with JJS, we will have some findings on these topics. And then after that, the commission's recommendations is the next big part of the report. So there could be general recommendations, which might be things such as partnering with OCID, having certain entities publish public school liaison lists. More general, these are things that don't necessarily rely on the research findings. And then after that would be topic specific recommendations. So maybe there's a recommendation on transition services or a recommendation on proposed administrative rules, things of that nature. It doesn't have to just be two, just an example of how it could be outlined. And then the conclusion and appendices. Conclusion would be future work, including questions like maybe those of Lisa K. Williams that were not able to be addressed or there's no data on them. And so moving forward, what the commission would like to do. And then appendices would be additional data description, tables, relevant meeting information, anything of that sort. So I'll scroll back up so you can look at the overview again. I know it's a lot of information. Hopefully none of it is a surprise. Yeah, I think I can kick it back over to Pablo if you have anything to add or want to lead the discussion on any strong opinions on what is or is not included in this general content.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So I myself don't have any strong feelings one way or another about the way this report is outlined. It seems like it's in line with the research questions that we'd all talked about. I know I was out for, I guess, the latter half of that April meeting. So you mentioned the 28/56 day mark coming up in topic area 3. I'm wondering if any of the commissioners here could provide some more information on how that discussion went regarding topic area 3, because I know I was here for the first topic area mentioning 28 days or 56 days, but how it relates to topic area 3, transition services. What was the discussion around that? If any commissioners have something they'd like to share, just to make it more clear for Kelly and catch me up.
I'm so sorry, Pablo. I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is Chair Armstrong Romero.
Yes, Chair Armstrong Romero, go ahead.
The 28 and 56 days was more so related to the detention, like the processes for support for delinquency or detention related matters specifically.
Gotcha. So more in that first question of topic area 3 about what's available at county facilities more so than what's provided at OYA. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that helps. Does that help you make sense of that, Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Do any other commissioners have any feelings or thoughts on this report outline or anything they'd like to share or questions? Go ahead and open it up. All right, we are a very quiet group today. Okay, and Mark has given us an update on JJPC, so thank you for that. That was the next item on the agenda. Moving on from there, any updates on Eliza's, so our TA providers, we talked about that a little bit in the report there, asked for strong opinions. So we're moving along pretty quickly. So unless anyone has some really strong opinions or wants to just sit here and stare at each other, I'm just gonna kind of move on to our next topic here. All right, I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding that we are all okay with that. Okay, cool. All right. So next steps and updates. So the next meeting is on June 26th. This is going to be an in-person meeting, and hopefully we will now have initial findings and some drafted recommendations. And so we really... Oh. Did someone have some, Dad? Okay. So really hoping to have a quorum there so we can vote on those recommendations. So I know there's only a few of us here today, but just a reminder that hopefully we can all get our answers out to Jenny on whether or not we will make it in person so we can know whether or not we're going to have a quorum by June 9th. Because if not, we're going to have to look at rescheduling that meeting because we really need to be able to vote on those recommendations because like Kelly said, this report is due September 1st. So not a whole lot of time there. There's an in-person portion down in Albany. And so Jenny sent out some information on May 21st. So yeah, Jenny, I don't know if you have anything to present on information for dress code, cell phones, lunch.
You just answered all my questions.
Oh my God.
Here, I put together a little slide for everybody.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me know if you can see my screen anytime soon.
I can see it. Yep.
Okay. So yes, thank you for starting us off, Pablo. So we are going to be meeting down at the Oak Creek campus in Albany, and I can also forward, I don't know if I put driving directions or an address last time, but I can get that to you. If everybody can arrive about 9:45, we'll meet in the main lobby. Evidently, I've talked to Christine down at the facility. She said parking is ample. So when you drive in, it'll be very evident where you can park. No issues with that. We are going to try and start right about 10 o'clock. And the schedule that's on the screen is what Christine at the campus had put together for us. So meet in the main lobby. Cell phones are not allowed. We're going to be spending the majority of our time in a secured area at the facility, so they are not allowed. So the options are you can leave them in your car if you're comfortable with that, or they do have some secured lockers up front that we can put them in if that's your preference for that. Dress code, nothing, you don't have to dress in suits or anything like that, but she did say make sure we don't do things like have jeans with holes in them or t-shirts that are inappropriate or anything like that. I can't imagine this group doing that, but and then shortly I will be getting a link to all of you for a lunch order because we will have our presentation and then extra time for Q&A, and we can have lunch before the regular 1 to 3 meeting starts. So I know I had a running list of those that had already reached out to me regarding attendance. Pablo, I can go over that now just to kind of see if I'm on track still, or I can send out another reminder email a little bit later, whatever works for everybody.
I think we can go over it now, and not everyone's here, so it might still be helpful to maybe send out a reminder later.
Yeah, I can do that. So who I have on track at the moment, Judge Partridge has said yes. and please let me, if I have that wrong, please interrupt me and let me know, but Judge Partridge, Commissioner Murphy did say yes as well, Commissioner Geelan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tassine, I believe, is going to be joining us. Commissioner Davala said yes. Commissioner Detman said yes. Commissioner Armstrong Romero said yes. Commissioner Keast said yes. And I also believe Commissioner LeBrecq, remind me, I don't have you on this list, but I know you've touched base with me on it.
I am a tentative yes, but I will
Okay.
get back to you to confirm.
That's perfectly fine. So tentative for Commissioner LeBrecq, and then also tentative at the moment for Representative Lewis. That's what I have right now. But again, I will go ahead and send out another reminder email with the lunch link, with the address. But you guys know, if you have any questions about things, you can always reach out to me and I can answer. Also, really quick, I wanted to say there's a couple of you who are reapplying for spots on the commission. That's a new kind of ask of the governor's office to those officially reapply and go through that process. So I appreciate everybody doing that, and I apologize for bugging you about it. I just want to make sure no one falls through the cracks and I don't go, oops, I forgot to let you know. So I know I have touched base with all of you, so I appreciate everybody doing that. I think that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Jenny. So yeah, any questions about that stuff? Like we said, Jenny will send out the reminder, and she has been very helpful. So thank you very much to Jenny and Kelly and everyone at CJC for always helping us out. Okay, so June, we will have that vote on those drafted recommendations, and it sounds like we should have a quorum there, so pretty confident about that. And then July is going to be our last chance for any changes and to finalize everything. So again, these summer meetings, June and July, are both very important to have a quorum there so we can make sure that we can actually vote on something so we meet that September 1st deadline. So just a reminder to everybody to make sure you're checking your calendars and that we have that July meeting as a quorum too. Like Jenny said, we've all got to reapply in Workday. I know I've started mine and got to finish that up. So thank you for the reminder. And there are also some wonderful trainings on Workday that we all have to complete. So again, those are things that I also need to complete. So yes, let's all get through those. And again, any questions, I believe that it seems like CJC, Jenny can help us out with that. So again, we are very appreciative of all the help that you give us.
And on the trainings, Pablo, I know we got notifications about making sure that our different commissions know about them. For those of you who have been on the commission or been a state employee for a while, they are the basic trainings. I think it's the sexual harassment and then the IT training. So it's, for most of us, it's nothing new. And you do technically have till December 31st to get those completed. They generally will send you little messages once in a while to remind you if you haven't done them. So, but if you do have questions, if you're wondering if you've completed something or not and you don't know, feel free to reach out and I can look it up for you.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. I believe that I've had to do them twice for my 2 government positions. That's fun. All right. The next item we have is an update on our chair position. And I'm not sure if we have an update right now. Do we have anybody who has generously volunteered or been selected? I'll have to kick it over to Kelly for that.
I can give a non-update update. So we have not heard back from the governor's office at this time on a new chair, and Kyla has graciously agreed to remain as chair until we hear back. So thank you, Kyla. So we were hoping to have the new chair by June, but it does not look like that will be the case. So kind of waiting to see how that falls.
Okay, so just another reminder, if anybody's interested in self-nominating or has anyone they think would be great for it, just go ahead and reach out and hopefully we find someone, but appreciative that Kyla will continue to stay on for the time being. So thank you, Kyla. We have really just very, very quickly plowed through this entire agenda. So before I kick it off to, I guess, any public comment that we may or may not get, does anybody here have any again, any lingering questions or comments about the report that we went over, what's expected? Oh, we got a hand up for Commissioner Davala. Go ahead.
Yes, I was just gonna ask, you said you're gonna send out that, the report that you just did. Are we also gonna see the report with the recommendations before we vote?
Yes, yes, you will get a copy of what I just shared, and then you will have plenty of time to review before we have the discussion in June. And I say plenty of time as if like you're gonna have a super long time, but you'll have it in advance, yes, to prepare for the discussion.
Thank you.
We also anticipate that meeting to be the full 2 hours.
Yeah, because it sounds like we'll actually have our data and a lot of things to really dig into. Any other questions or comments from members of the commission or anybody in the meeting? All right, well, we are super early. So again, unless y'all just want to stare at each other for a while, which I'm always open to that, I can kick it back over to see if there's any members of the public for a couple minutes before we go ahead and adjourn. So unless anyone has an issue with that, I'm not seeing any. No hands up? Okay. So again, just like the beginning, if there's any members of the public on this meeting, and if you want to comment on anything or have any testimony you'd like to give, we'll go ahead and leave some time right now. Okay. Not seeing anything or hearing anything. Going once, twice. All right. Well, with that, thank you everybody for showing up for this quick 2-hour meeting. I promise the next one will have a lot more substantive discussion. So please do your best to be there, either on Teams or preferably in person if you can make it. And again, reach out to Jenny. That way she knows what to expect and she can let the facility know what to expect. And then we can get any questions about lunch and anything else figured out. With that, unless there's any other things people want to talk about, thanks everyone for being here, and we can go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Great job, Pablo. Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.